This podcast is part of the Shrimp Queen Network.
Visit facebook.com/Shrimp Queen Network to see more great podcasts.
Hear them.
Hear more great podcasts.
Good job.
Thanks for listening.
Excited for October to end because I want that to end.
I'll keep it going, and then we'll be in Shocktober, Thankvember, and then
Dear Lord,
Christmas, then New Year, January.
Please stop.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I realized we kind of fell off the wagon with describing what the show is about in our previous episodes. Yeah, I think it helps if it's someone's first time listening.
It's about
family. It's about
family.
love.
It's about love. It's about football. It's about Fridays. It's Friday Night Lights.
Shit, I was going to send you a picture today. Temple University on their Facebook posted. It was like
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
It was like trivia, and I had a picture. It was like which famous US TV show was rebranded as Braymore College. Rebranded Temple University as Braymore College to film its final episode.
For Connie Britton.
And like all the comments. And it was like, comment
Mrs.
the
Coach
right answer to be
Taylor.
entered to win something. And I was like, yeah, that's my school.
Yeah. Did you win?
I didn't comment.
Oh, what the fuck?
Well, all the other ones were comment. And I don't even know if I would still be able to win anything from them.
Boy.
Pretty sure it's only available to current students.
Boy. It's not Friday Night Lights, guys. I'm so sorry to disappoint. Could you imagine just like a podcast of Friday Night Lights just retelling the games that happen in the show?
We should do a Friday Night Lights podcast. We should have done that when I was watching it for the first time. We should have just done an episode.
It's a beautiful thing. We still can. It's okay. I can just rewatch for the third time or so.
But then also like...
fourth time, I think. I don't
really
know.
Where's the difficulty in that?
It's harder to just sit down and do a rewatch when it's not on Netflix.
It's like easy to just
I know that I could do it like on Amazon, I think it's on, but like I don't know why I'm so bad at binging shows that aren't on Netflix. Hulu, I did all right with.
It's also because Amazon's like their UI for watching TV shows is not that good.
It's like season by season. I don't know.
They give you no time in between episodes if you want to watch the credits or like if there's something after the credits that you know.
Who wants to watch the
credits?
It
literally goes like 3, 2, 1. You're on the next episode.
Who wants to watch the credits there's what show has after scenes after credits? What show?
Iron Fist.
Okay.
The last episode there was a post credit scene.
One single episode
with Matt Murdock, and he was like, I'd rather live as the devil than die as Matt Murdock. Or die as the devil than live as Matt Murdock.
Wow.
The new season, fucking amazing. It's probably one of the best MCU things ever made. And one of the best superhero shows I've ever seen.
I don't think you go a single week without bringing up the MCU. You did it last week, too.
What are you talking about? Marvel isn't giving me any money.
You wish. Okay.
Oh, just gave me a fucking Charlie horse. I don't think that was a spider over there, by the way. I think that's just a bit of lint that was caught in a spider web. It's just
guys, I went to the zoo today.
Cool. Oh, you never responded. I sent Jess a picture of Gotham, the TV show Gotham. They just revealed their
Bane,
and
he's like a machine.
So bad. It is so bad.
He's got a machine for a chest.
Yeah, he looks like a weird steampunk. Like he looks like he belongs in Mad Max.
I mean, I know that like Bane has that thing, has like his mask, and sure you could say that that's a little steampunk.
Yeah, but it looks nothing like any Bane that's ever been on the comics.
Just everyone needs to back off trying to be Tom Hardy.
It barely even looks like Tom Hardy's Bane, which was not that good of an adaptation anyway.
I honestly had to think for a minute about who was Bane.
Bane isn't white. He's from South America.
So why was Tom Hardy Bane?
Exactly.
Okay, sorry.
And also he's the guy from A Walk to Remember, and I can't be threatened by him.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
No, I'll just cry every time I see him. Oh my god. I can't watch A Walk to Remember without crying at least once. maximum 3 times.
Wow.
And I know exactly what scenes they are, so. Dan's trying to make you listen to the soda in his mouth.
It's not soda, it's LaCroix. It's ASMR.
Oh, so it's ass?
Girl, you know I eat ass.
Ew.
I'm kidding.
You're like, ew.
Ooh, there's a doggy outside today.
I saw him this morning.
Talking about ASMR, Cardi B of all people just did an ASMR video for W Magazine.
Did it change your life?
Fantastic. She was really good at it because she says she watches it, and that usually means that they're actually good at it. Like Kate Hudson, like she watches ASMR.
I don't like
and hers
ASMR
was
guys,
amazing.
but I'm good at doing it.
First thing she did was no, it was like ASMR. No, like it was like ASMR version. Yeah, it was like a cat purr. I was like, Cardi
How
B.
cute. All right. So
She
what's
threw a
this week?
shoe at Nicki Minaj.
I actually don't know what it is. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
People be throwing shoes.
This week is so you actually don't know.
I don't remember what
my
you said you ran
personal
down.
top 10 best horror video games.
Oh, video
that
games.
I've played.
Now, guys, guess what? I know I don't play video games unless they're like Mario, but I know I'm assuming about a lot of the ones on this list.
Yeah, you like watching horror
I enjoy
games.
watching horror video games. Well, because like there's a story to it, and you had like all of our friends kind of play it together. The other one, I like.
There are a few on there you've watched.
Well, and I like watching like Achievement Hunter play.
Dead by Daylight.
Well, I wasn't gonna say the names because
you can say them.
I want to spoil.
Because I just want to say that I've played. Because
what's the one that you scare the shit out of Avery with?
I'll get to that. That I've played because I haven't
I know what
played any of the Silent Hill games. I know that they're amazing, and I'm sorry, but I just haven't played them. I didn't grow up playing them. My family.
Have a few of them been made into movies?
Yeah, they made
not
first
Silent Hill. Not Silent Hill. Other ones that are on your list?
Possibly, and if they have, then their
like
movie is no
Evil.
good.
Resident Evil.
Terrible.
That's the one that you scare Avery with, because I was just thinking about the number 6 and how it looks like a giraffe, right?
No? That one was not scary at all.
No, not
Resident
that
Evil
specific
6
number. No, not that number. I'm just saying, I remember that it's Resident Evil when I think of number 6.
Let's just jump into it. So my ranking parameters primarily were how scary the game is.
We are so different when we make lists.
And how fun it is to play, because I feel like those are the two most important parts of a horror video game. You gotta have fun while you're playing it. Well, it also has to be on video. I guess the graphics are kind of important too. How impactful it's been on video games, how impactful it's been on the horror video game genre. Yeah, I guess my personal life, its respective subgenre, if we want to go that specific, and like the overall game mechanics, if it plays well, if it still plays well to this day, because some of them are kind of old. So my honorable mentions are Resident Evil 2, Outlast.
Oh, you're not just counting like a series as a whole?
No.
Oh, God.
Resident Evil 2, Outlast, The Evil Within, Friday the 13th, the game, Until Dawn.
That one a lot.
It was good, but it's not in my top 10.
Okay.
Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, which is the VR one, Left 4 Dead, the first one, and Dead Rising 1 and 2.
Rush of Blood is a solid time, I will tell you.
Yeah, that's a fun party game. That's good to put on and then have everybody watch.
I had watched somebody play it once, and then they had me do it, and they were all shocked. I was surprisingly calm.
Yeah, because the first level is about clowns.
But I was so ready to murder clowns that it calmed me. And then I also felt a little bit sick because you were on a roller coaster and it was VR and it was like, whoa.
Okay, number 10. Dead by Daylight, developed by Behavior Interactive and Behavior Digital Inc. It was released June 14th, 2016. So Dead by Daylight, is an asymmetrical multiplayer game.
Just start.
It was free on PlayStation Plus. That's why I just started playing it.
You would have never known.
Yeah. It's an asymmetrical multiplayer game wherein 4 players take on the roles of different survivors and have to fix generators in order to open an escape door in a creepy setting, and they're being hunted by a killer who wants to kill them and put them on hooks and sacrifice them to an
I already know
overlord.
What one of your like negatives is going to be.
Okay.
So if I get a chance to guess, I would like that chance.
Well, I'll just go through my list. I realized that I brought it up, but we never actually explained what the show is about. Anyway, so each week one of us comes up with a top 10 list of something that we're really, really interested in,
really.
or just happen to be interested in, like went on a Wikipedia binge or something, and you're like, yeah, I could fucking write about this.
Wikipedia binges?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, honey. I didn't know
or
that.
a YouTube hole or something
That's
along
what I
those
do,
lines.
yeah. I could do like my top 10
and then
Marbles episodes.
The person presents it, and the other person's just there to ask questions, ask for clarification, make jokes. Most of the time, it's make jokes, and maybe offer criticism as to why they think the other person maybe should have put that in a different place on the list.
You might be trying to make jokes. I'm just being me, and I can't help it if I'm hilarious.
Don't worry, you're not.
Moving on. All right.
Okay, so why it's on the list. I personally have fallen very hard for this game.
He's playing it all the time.
I've only been playing
he waits up to play it with his friends.
I've only been playing it since August, but it's already very high on my list of horror games. I think so the core gameplay loop of either playing as the killer, where you go into a game, find survivors, hit survivor, bring survivor to hook, protect hook, or find other survivors, just stop generators, or playing as the survivor, where you find items, fix generators, get out alive.
Items kind of, I feel like, while they're fun to find, they don't always.
Yeah, the flashlight sucks dick.
Side note, my favorite killer is the Hag. I love her if she's trying to murder Dan, or if Dan is her. I just love her. I think she's great.
Yeah, she's
what a lady.
Hard to counter. She's one of the few
drawbacks.
Killers that it's helpful to have a flashlight with, because if you find her trap, you just shine a flashlight on it and it disappears. My favorite item is the toolbox. I find it the most useful because usually I'm the one who's doing the generators. I like to play as Dwight. That's my character. I play as mostly. I've gotten to level 50. Yeah, Laurie Strode, and I just started Feng Min, and
you don't like to be detective tabs?
No, I don't play. JJ. I don't have detective tab.
Oh, you don't? Yeah. Why not?
Because JJ plays as him, and I don't like the Jigsaw Killer. I don't think that it's that good. So it's not really worth it for me.
He's from.
Yeah, it's not even Jigsaw. It's his apprentice, Amanda. Anyway,
tell me when I can guess the drawback.
After I do the positives. So core gameplay loop is highly addictive for both survivors and killers, although I prefer playing as the survivors because I find it more challenging, and honestly it's more rewarding sometimes to be the good guy and be like, oh, I'm trying to survive.
Yeah, killed him.
Sometimes it's very satisfying when you kill someone. Even though it's very simple, it's very effective and very addicting. Like literally I've just sat for 6 hours. With nothing, it's not like I had better things to do. Like, it's not like I had work to do or anything. It's literally just complete free time.
Hang out with me.
Yeah, or, okay.
No, it's okay.
Playing online with my friend. You love watching it, yeah.
But I judge some friends that he plays with way too hard because I think they could do more. They're a little bit lazy.
One of my friends is not very courageous when playing this game, let's say.
And I'm not saying that I would do better than him. I would suck. But I would at least try.
He favors hiding. And one time he completely left me and our other friend to die.
The door opened, so he was like, goodbye.
He just yeeted out of there, and Corin and I were like... Sorry, Corin is the one friend who was not a
JJ is the asshole.
But then also JJ
is also great.
Has sacrificed himself twice for me in the game.
And no offense, when you three play, sometimes all three of you end up just kind of being stupid.
Yeah.
And making very stupid mistakes. Like when all three of you just went to save... They went to save really you, funny. And then got taken down, and the next one went, and then you got down, and then you got down.
I was trying to tell them not to do... Anyway, sorry, this is a complete tangent. So the progression system keeps you invested in the game. It's procedurally generated, so you have no clue what you're going to get at your next level to spend your blood points on, which you earn.
When you do
it is seriously great to play with friends. Honestly, it's kind of better to play with friends, at least when you're playing as a survivor. You can't play with friends as a killer.
I mean, you could still talk on like your headset and whatever.
Yeah, but it's really good when you can't just know the people you're playing with, and you can communicate with them effectively. And it just sometimes you become unstoppable. One time we did about 6 or 7 matches in a row, and we escaped every time with like barely anything bad happening. So if you have a good killer, it can be quite scary and exhilarating when you're playing as a survivor. It's not scary to play as the killer at all.
No.
But there are some times when I've like genuinely jumped because a killer just comes out of nowhere. It's a love letter to horror movies, specifically slashers, which I love very much. If you didn't already know that,
I didn't tell.
Yeah, it's endlessly entertaining to watch. I've watched all of Achievement Hunter's videos on these.
Oh yeah, that's also just because Achievement Hunters can make anything fun to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an entertaining game to watch. Sometimes Jess watches it for hours with me. Yeah. Watches me play, and I'm not a professional gamer, and I'm not that entertaining. There's a good variety in killers and survivors, even the free ones. So you don't have to pay for them to still have a good time. It allows for gameplay tailoring, so anyone can play. You can play if you want to play stealth, if you want to be like right out there, etc., etc. You can find a character that you'll like. It's one of, if not the best asymmetrical online games out there right now. I had Friday the 13th in my honorable mentions because it's very much in the same vein, but I think this game just does it kind of better just because it's a lot more exhilarating.
Maps, doesn't it?
It does, but also Friday the 13th has a 20-minute time limit, which I like because Dead by Daylight, sometimes it can get really, like one time JJ was the last person and the killer just could not find him. He was just sitting there for maybe 25, 30 minutes, just running around and hiding and getting away.
I'm just seeing how long we've been talking about it. I was going to bring up another time, but I won't.
Okay, now you can mention the flaws before
I think if the killer, if they have a shitty connection, then it just makes everyone else's lag. Yeah. And sometimes, my God, I will just like leave the room and decide not to watch. If you're not playing with like your friends, it takes forever for you to
I was going to say
with the group.
That's my first flaw
sorry. Some of the people are just, this has nothing to do with the game. It's the assholes who just stand there, that. But then they screw themselves over.
Yeah, it's called face camping, and that's a big thing in the community. And they actually just added a penalty to killers for proximity to hooked survivors because it just makes the game not fun if you have a killer who just can
screw themselves over because
that happens.
There's a certain amount of generators. How many?
You have to get 5.
You have to get 5.
But if you're the last one,
there was a killer who just camped out around Dan, and the other players, since they couldn't go save Dan, they just got 4 generators done.
Yeah, all 3 of them escaped.
And then they got the last one, and they left.
Yeah.
He screwed himself over. It was great.
And it wasn't even all of them, because my friend was sitting there basically the whole time waiting for the killer to go away, just hiding, and then was like, I'm sorry, but this doesn't seem to...
And then you died.
Yeah.
But it was kind of worth it to know that he just screwed up so bad.
Okay, so my first drawback is that matchmaking can be awful at times in terms of wait time and skill matching as well.
Yeah,
sometimes you can be inexplicably put into a match with a killer who's a much higher rank than you just because you have one person in your match who is like really, really high. And that can basically not be fun for everybody else involved except for those 2. It hasn't had an enormous impact on the gaming world or the horror genre. It definitely has its fans. It definitely has like a hardcore group of fans. It's definitely a cult classic game, I would say.
There are like online gamers who like YouTube who are fans of it.
Yeah. And the graphics aren't great, even for like when you're thinking 2016. It's like they're okay. Yeah. It has a really good frame rate though, even though the graphics aren't good. I guess that sacrifices that for the frame rate, but I prefer good graphics. All right.
IT. Number 9?
Number 9.
Wow, we'll try not to talk about all of them for that long. Because I probably want to watch all of them, so I won't want to talk about them as long.
Okay, well, the next one is Until Dawn.
Oh, fuck, sorry.
Developed by Supermassive Games, released August 25th, 2015. So Until Dawn is essentially an interactive... I would say it's more of like an interactive film, but it's not really a film because there are definite video game elements to it. It's definitely a video game, but
it's a good story.
It's just like a really long story basically, and you have actions that you can take and interactions that you can have between the characters. It switches between every single character. You get to play as every single character. There are 8 of them.
Or you can do what we did as a group of friends. Well, I didn't do it. Dan just played mine. where each of us had a
you
character.
made the decisions, though.
Yeah, and we just passed around the controller when it switched to the character.
Yeah, that was really fun. That's
then
on my...
It was kind of like, well, you're not in charge of everyone. Everyone is in charge of their own. And a lot of our friends died.
Yeah, so why it's on the list, I said it's a fantastic party game. I mean, you can either just play like a specific part if you want to with a bunch of people, or you can do what we did and carve out a day and just get a bunch of snacks and just have a couple friends over and everyone gets a character to play as, and it's like a really fun, it's like basically binge watching a TV show, except everyone has an impact on the outcome of the TV show, which is really, really cool.
Excuse me.
There's a huge branching network of possibilities that you can experience, so that allows for high replayability if you're into that. It's kind of unforgiving in this respect, which I just see as a good aspect. Like, it was kind of, I couldn't decide if that was a good or a bad, because I distinctly remember playing that game and we got through a lot of it, and then one friend of ours made one tiny mistake and her character died immediately.
Avery?
Yeah, it was when she was playing as
Sorry, Avery.
The character Amy, and she was running from the killer, and she just didn't.
I remember an Emily.
Sorry, Emily. Yeah, and she just didn't go the right way, and then she like fell.
Oh, she
and,
went
like,
over like a cliff or something.
Yeah, and just like got sliced up or something.
It was fun.
And then at the end, I was playing as Hayden Panettiere, and I moved just slightly, and then she died.
Who was I playing as? Jessica?
Yeah, the character was Jessica.
Jessica.
So another good thing,
dragged through a window.
Yeah, is that the cast is superb. It has Hayden Panettiere, Rami Malek,
yes,
Brett Dalton, Jordan Fisher, Megan Martin, and Nicole Bloom. Specifically, there are some other less known actors in it who do a fantastic job, but those are, if you're fans of any of the things that they're in, check it out. The graphics were great at release and still kind of hold up pretty well.
I think it's really random that Hayden Panettiere was a video game character.
The story, whichever one you get, is well written and engaging. Like, the dialogue's pretty decent.
You feel for them.
Yeah, you like basically all the characters, even the most kind of unlikable characters. They have redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
It's eerie and can be very spooky at times, like the ghost in the basement. Do you remember that? Made one of our friends like jump out of their skin when you're going through basement, and then just like this ghost just pops up.
Who got scared?
Who do you think?
JJ?
No, Avery.
Well, just because I've seen JJ get scared.
And it kind of toys with expectations in this respect with the story. Like, I don't want to give away too much because I think it's a really fun game to play. Well, I guess you can't really spoil a game that has a ton of... I don't know.
You can still.
It kind of toys with expectations. Like, it makes you think that it's going to be kind of like a generic slasher or something, and then it kind of like takes a turn for the more supernatural, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Who died like last minute at the very end because of the supernatural?
Me.
That was you? Oh.
Yeah, that was when I was playing as Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah.
Because at the end, you can't move the controller at all, and I guess I moved it slightly, and then I died.
Oh.
Again, it's this one is also a love letter to horror movies that inspired it.
And Rami Malek from me. It was I wrote him a love letter because of it.
Why it isn't higher? The campaign is only about 8 to 10 hours long. So if you're not into branching stories or reasons to keep playing, this can seem like a waste of $60 if you're only going to play it once.
Yeah. Unless you're going to go back and like choose different options.
That's what I said. Yeah. If you, it's also pretty QTE heavy, quick time events. Sometimes it can feel a little bit too hands off and like you are just watching something happen.
I mean, I don't mind that.
And even though the story branches, the effects aren't as drastic as they portrayed to be. Like, you still generally end up in the same situation unless you manage to get everybody killed early on. Then the game ends right there. Excuse me again. But overall, it's a good game and definitely one of my favorite horror games. Yeah. I remember it very, very vividly, the lead up to it, and when it was announced, and I was like, oh god, please don't suck, and then it didn't, and I just want a good sequel to it already.
All right,
Number 8, The Evil Within 2, developed by Tango Gameworks, released October 13th, 2017. So I've already talked about this in my best games of 2017, so I'm not going to go too into detail about it. It's a sequel to Evil Within 1. It's a third-person shooter, over-the-shoulder horror game. Why it's on the list, this is kind of a retread from my best games of 2017, so let's go over the basics. It was engaging and had fun gameplay and combat. It was effectively scary with its atmosphere, with great visuals to match them. Had an interesting setting with an open world that rewards exploration, which is kind of rare in these kinds of games. It was challenging. It improves upon the first game, but Some of the drawbacks, there's somewhat convoluted story, which negatively affects the characters and the experience, and it suffers from what I like to call Luke Cage syndrome, when it has an interesting villain that's killed off about halfway through unceremoniously, and then they're just gone forever, and it's kind of like, why did that happen? I don't remember
this one at all.
And it was.
Hey, what was it?
Evil Within 2. All right, number 7. Left 4 Dead 2.
Don't remember this one either. Sorry.
This wasn't on my
No, I'm just saying I don't remember you ever playing it.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. It was before we started dating.
So it was over 6 years ago? Oh my god.
Yeah, so it was developed by
video games then?
The Valve Corporation.
Before I could sit there and watch?
Released November 17th, 2009. Actually, another one of my girlfriends sat there and watched it. So
which one?
That's where we're just gonna leave it at that. We're just gonna leave it. Don't even say that. We're not going to talk about it because I don't want to bring up any of my past because that one, I don't want to rag on anybody.
Bring up Kaylee and Kaylee's in your past.
Yeah, but Kaylee's my friend.
My best friend. Sorry, guys.
Anyway, it was released November 17th, 2009, as I said. So Left 4 Dead 2 is a 4-player co-op game where each player takes on a character, and you basically just fight off hordes of zombies and try to accomplish different objectives. And there's a variety of villains, a variety of enemies, a variety of weapons. It's just an overall good time. It's a very good party game.
Time. Okay. What are we at? 5? 6?
This is 7. So Left 4 Dead 2 is an amazing co-op zombie game. It's really fun when playing with a whole group of friends, either online or, in my opinion, even better, in couch co-op when everyone's there. It expanded on everything that made the first game great, which is the variety of enemies that you face, the variety of weapons, maps, added objectives, different characters, all that good stuff. So despite not having traditional cutscenes or sections of non-playing dedicated to story, it's still a good one. It still has a good story with fleshed out characterization of the 4 main characters. And also a couple of the characters from the first game show up randomly. There are really fluid controls. I can remember that. I haven't played this game in forever. And it can genuinely be scary when you suddenly realize that you're being overwhelmed, or you get separated from your crew, or you come across a witch who is one of the enemy varieties. And it's just like this weird kind of like, looks like she belongs in like The Grudge, The Ring, or whatever, and she just freaking goes crazy on. If you make any noise around her or anything, she just freaks out and starts screaming and runs straight at you, and she has these big claws and she starts slashing at you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's not fun in that respect.
Is it raining out?
Could be. And overall, this game just makes you feel like a zombie killing badass because you can just like mow through endless waves, and you're just like, hells yeah. So why it isn't higher? So while its cooperative elements are great, it sacrifices something when you want to play alone or having bad internet connection issues.
Education connection gets you the right college for free.
In my case, you were 13 and couldn't afford Xbox Live because you didn't have a job or anything. So you couldn't play all the time online.
Such a hard childhood.
I did. And like a lot of Valve games, it kind of sacrifices better graphics for kind of better in-game physics and mechanics. So that could sort of be a plus as well because the game ends up being fun in that respect. But it's still pretty bad looking for a 2009 game. Well, it's like all right for 2009. And there's still no third game because Valve can't count to 3, which is something we all know. We all know this.
Really?
Jess, you know this.
Yeah, totally. You got
it. The Valve Corporation, they never make third games.
I understood what you meant.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted. They made like Portal.
You can go on.
And Portal 2.
You can go on.
But not Portal 3.
You can go on.
Okay. Number 6. With another one from my top game.
You like Sassafras, we like Sassafras
of 2017, it is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Developed by Capcom, released January 24th, 2017.
That one?
'Twas.
Yes.
So this is it's a boy.
Downstairs.
So this is a first-person first-person iteration in the Resident Evil franchise, which is a storied franchise of horror video gaming, where you take the control of a guy who's going to some rural house to look for his wife who went missing, and then just like a bunch of crazy shit happened.
Sorry.
She cuts off his arm.
His arm. Oh.
Yeah. His hand in the beginning. And then you get it like stapled back on because like they have some weird grossness about them.
She like seems totally chill, and then she just like.
So why it's on the list? This is another retread, so I'll keep it brief again. One, it's a seriously needed shot in the arm for the Resident Evil franchise. It was kind of petering out, i.e. Resident Evil 6, which was not good. It added a new first-person perspective, a la Outlast, which was an honorable mention, which changes up the gameplay mechanics of the Resident Evil formula and works phenomenally in VR. It's probably the best PlayStation VR game out there still. It is simple yet interesting with a well-written story. Genuinely scary, more than jump scares.
Creepy.
Although there are jump scares, I don't want to lull you into a false sense of security. Yeah, it just has a good atmosphere.
Me just because like there's like a family.
It's very much like
it made me think of
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes,
it has a lot of those elements.
And the
except like instead of the family, we're like weird zombies. It has fun boss fights with each member of the Baker family, because they each have their kind of
Baker family,
their own thing. So like the dad is like super strong and basically indestructible, and the mom is like turning into a weird bug thing.
Oh, cool!
It's
Your
really gross.
Steam is trying to log in.
I'll get back to it. And then like the son is like Jigsaw with all these traps.
He creepy.
It has really good visuals and great audio design, and it has pretty good free DLC as well.
I remember watching you play the free.
Why it isn't higher? The combat can leave something to be desired. It kind of drags in the final act, and it's not very long, but that can be a plus for some. Just not for me. I would have wanted it to go a little bit longer. And
but for some people, they don't want to be terrified for too long.
Numero 5, Alien Isolation. Developed by Creative Assembly. You've definitely watched me play this. Released October 7th, 2014. So Alien Isolation is set in between the first Alien and the second Aliens. Okay. And you play as Ripley's daughter, and she's looking for her mom who went missing after the first Alien movie.
Yeah, isn't she in one of the movies?
No.
No?
No.
What?
You never see her daughter.
Oh.
Except for in the game. Her name's like Ashley or something. I can't remember what her name is. That's probably not good. Anyway, and of course, there's a xenomorph that comes on board this facility, and you have to survive it, and it's great. It's in first person. So let's get into why it's good. It's incredibly tense. It's a very scary game. It comes from kind of an amazing setting and a really, really well-maintained atmosphere, which feels like it jumped straight from a 1970s Alien movie.
Ooh.
It's actually challenging and requires undivided attention, because if you slip up, you die.
You fucked up.
And then you have to go back to the last time you saved, and that's probably a while back, because it kind of takes a while to move around the map, because otherwise you might get killed by the really, really smart alien AI.
Oh.
There are also other threatening enemies, like other people and weird androids, and it's like the people will shoot you and you got like 2 shots and you're dead. Androids will choke you. You get like maybe 2 chances at that and then you're dead. And the alien, there's no fighting it. It's an instant kill.
Destroy you.
And the thing is, like, the alien will hide. It's completely unpredictable where it's going to be every single time, because it's an advanced AI.
That's what I remember from it.
Yeah. And you pick up on things. I
remember you like screaming because it showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that's
you pick up
coming up right now, guys.
No, I didn't scream. I'm a big boy, a big tough boy. You pick up on things, like sometimes if you see a vent, you may see something dripping out of it, and you're like, well, I'm not going to walk under there because the alien's going to get me. Anyway, there are randomized item locations. So like if you die, it's not guaranteed that when you go and check for something, it's still going to be there every time. Mm-hmm. As I said, serious consequences for dying in terms of the save points. Has an interesting story that fills the gap in Alien canon. It's got great graphics for the time. Makes you feel like an accomplished survivor, because you start to get better, obviously, at the game, but you take on more enemies, more whatevers, but still every time you see an enemy, it's still just as threatening as the first time. It kind of perfects what Outlast had started before it, because in Outlast...
It sounded like you're going to say, like, At Last, and I just keep thinking, like,
At last.
My love.
Outlast. Anyway, in Outlast, you can't fight any of the enemies because they'll kill you immediately.
I've really been shitting on Outlast this entire podcast.
What? No, I'm saying it's
earlier.
Good. Yeah, like, these games just improve on what it started. And in the same vein, you can't kill the alien. You can only hide and run from it. And there's good DLC that actually recreates moments in alien history with the original cast. Like,
what?
Yeah, like Tom Skerritt
with
and Sigourney Weaver.
What's his name?
Tom Skerritt. No, John Hurt dies. He's the first person to die in Alien.
The dragon from Merlin?
No, he's not in. And also, I'm pretty sure.
And a doctor?
Rest in peace, John Hurt. You're dead now.
Oh my god.
You didn't know that?
No, I know, but just wow. You are dead.
I'm sorry, Mister. My name is Michael Caine, and I'm very sorry.
You pissed off Ollivander's actor.
Anyway,
go on.
Why this game isn't higher? Its impact was noticeable at the time, but not huge. There's no sequel. There's no plans for a sequel, and there weren't really many copycats of it.
You never really have like a this one isn't higher, just cause.
I like to give reasons. Otherwise, it's like,
but
why
sometimes,
isn't
like for
higher?
me, it's just like it just isn't. It's because others I love more, but I don't love it anymore.
And sometimes, and I know this sounds like you need to get good or whatever. Sometimes the save system can be a little too unforgiving and border on game breaking. Like you can save and then every single time, and you were destined to go maybe 30 seconds, and then the alien is always there, and like you're basically fucked because you have nothing to defend it against. And then you have to go really far back into the game, and that can just be really, really frustrating. And sometimes you can become dulled to the scares, although that can happen. That can happen with any horror game. But with this one, if you play it for a while, you just you're like, okay, and the alien, oh my god, it got me.
No, the alien. Oh no.
Alien. Violet. Number 4. BioShock. Developed by 2K Boston and 2K Australia.
I didn't know BioShock was a horror video game.
It is. It was released August 21st, 2007. I was just a wee lad of 11 at that point. I did not play it yet. I didn't play it till I was older. It's a first-person game where you play as this guy named Jack who's on a plane that crashes, and you go to a lighthouse. And then
is this, Lost?
And then you go into the lighthouse, and there's this bathysphere that brings you down into this underworld city called Rapture, but it's been basically fucked because these people called splicers took over and
Rapture?
There's big daddies and everything. It's fantastic, and you gotta...
Sorry, I just remembered what could be on this list, and I got really excited.
Okay.
I'm so
and then
sorry.
you gotta take those...
Because you said big daddies, and for some reason that sparked me being like, oh, remember? Oh, shit!
Okay.
We'll get to it.
And... Oh, I forgot what they're called. They're not called Vigors. That's what
Zaddies.
In BioShock Infinite. These things that you inject yourself with, and then you get like powers, and they're all really, really cool and really entertaining. So, why it's on the list? It was hands down one of the best games of its generation. The setting, Rapture, is creative and lends itself spectacularly to the eerie atmosphere. It has an interesting story that shows you what happens to Rapture, and has a great twist to it. Jess, would you kindly stop doing that?
It's my blanket.
Okay.
I'm pulling
okay, in the game,
it's my blanket.
Jess doesn't know this, but in the game, the main character, spoiler alert for BioShock, which is 11 years old now, the main character is secretly from Rapture, and he was like brainwashed into whenever anybody said the phrase, would you kindly, he would have to do that thing. And that kind of plays with like the whole aspect of like video games. Now you're given objectives and you just kind of do them because they're presented to you like, oh, would you kindly go and to this area and kill this guy and grab this item and come back, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm gonna do that because it's a video game and I'm being told to do this.
Note, Lost. Jack on a plane crash.
Wow.
Hello.
Anyway.
Look at the facts. Look at the facts.
It makes you question morals and philosophize on famous ideas because like kind of different characters in the game represent different historical philosophers and like philosophies and ideals.
Are you
and
telling me Aristotle's in this?
Yeah, it mainly criticizes Ayn Rand, so I'm always down for that because fuck that person. Anyway, the gameplay is engaging and impressively customizable for the time. You can play it however you want it. You can go full with the powers. You can do just weapons if you want. You can play it how you want to. It's had a huge impact on first-person shooter games at the time, and there are still games that are described as being like BioShock. Like, oh, it's like BioShock then. Like if it's kind of like an RPG.
Like, oh, hey, buddy.
Because of the BioShock.
It's like BioShock. Also, I really hope that the one that I remembered is actually on this list, but I don't know if it's considered horror or not.
Okay. Well, I
think you know what I'm thinking of.
Okay. I'm looking at the game Prey specifically right now because that was basically like BioShock except for the current generation and wasn't as good. So why this game isn't higher? So it's scary at first.
Why did your voice do that? Why this game isn't higher?
Because I'm...
Are you in
country boy?
No, I was gonna say, are you in Nickelback?
Okay, anyway. While this game is scary at first, it sort of loses its creepy factor for me at least. I know I'm a big tough man. I watch horror movies. I'm not scared.
Do you?
After the first two or so hours, it kind of starts to lose it. So this isn't a bad thing really, as it goes on to focus on other elements of the story. But this list is of scary/horror games, so it has to come into
scary/horror. All right, it's on the list.
So it has to come in there somewhere.
Sorry, guys.
So also the sequels
better be high as fuck.
Barely hold a candle to it, in my opinion.
How many
and that's
sequels
disappointing.
Are there?
There's two. There's BioShock 2 and there's BioShock Infinite. BioShock 2, you play as a big daddy.
I remember when you were like, "Oh, BioShock Infinite is coming out." Were we dating for that?
Yes, it came out in 20.
I recall you talking about it.
13. Yeah.
So like
I was so excited for it and it just wasn't what it was promised to be.
It was weak.
There's so many games that wanted to be the next BioShock that the genre was kind of like saturated and flooded with like BioShock clones for a good bit.
Do they wear like cool outfits in it?
And I would just be like, that's like BioShock. It's like BioShock.
Do they wear cool outfits in BioShock?
You don't see what the main character's wearing.
Well, that's disappointing.
And then the sequels, you're wearing a big suit, a big weird scuba suit because you're a big daddy. And then in the third game, people always cosplay the two main characters, Elizabeth and Booker. Like Elizabeth is like, she has like short, dark hair and she has like a blue dress, kind of looks like Belle.
Oh,
yeah, and then Booker is a guy in like a waistcoat.
I remember you playing this, yeah.
Yeah.
They looked like they were like from the past, but from the future.
And let's just say that they don't hold a candle to the core duo at my number 3 choice, The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Do you know what big daddies I was thinking of?
Joel.
When you're no. I mean one of the clickers or like whatever. When you get to the really really big one.
Oh yeah.
Like a basement. For some reason, I was like those ones. And also Joel.
So The Last of Us
and Ellie
was developed by Naughty Dog. Which I stan. I'm a complete
Did they also
for Naughty Dog. Any
Uncharted?
Naughty Dog game, yeah, I will love.
Oh yeah, because I remember I thought that Joel and whatever his name from that, Nathan, look a lot alike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joel just looks like an older Nathan.
Anyway, this game was released on June 14th, 2013, which was our 1-year anniversary at the time. The Last of Us, for those who have been living under a rock in the past few years.
Calm down.
And it's about this guy named Joel, and he just like...
And his daughter dies, and then he jumps forward. And so like basically, he finds this girl, and like basically she is immune.
Jess, he has to take her across the country to get paid.
Because she's immune.
He's a smuggler and you find out that she's immune.
Like, basically, she becomes his, like, surrogate daughter, and, like, basically, she really likes comic books and collects them.
And basically, she's a lesbian.
Basically, we didn't find that out until a trailer for the new one.
No? You find that out in the game.
You do?
Yes, you do. If you're paying attention and if you play the DLC, then you find out.
Basically... I watched this entire thing, and I just remember when the giraffes came out, I was like, what the fuck?
That's just, no, but that's like
it was
such
really
a beautiful part of the game.
No, it was really pretty.
Okay,
also,
anyway, it's a
I don't
third
think
person.
Dan played this, like, at all when I wasn't present, because I was like, it's like watching a fucking movie. It was so beautiful.
But like not in like the same way that Until Dawn is, because you're basically in control the whole time.
Oh yeah, you are, but
game.
it's just like if you are sitting like in front of whoever's like playing and just like watching, like it's
very cinematic.
It's gorgeous.
In its scope,
but also there's some big zaddy nasties.
It's a third person survival horror game set in a post-apocalyptic world where you take over as this guy named Joel, and he has to take this girl Ellie across the country to possibly, hopefully, become a savior of mankind.
It starts off very depressing, though.
Yes, it does. It quite makes you question a lot of things about what would you do in different situations, and it's also pretty dang scary.
What was his daughter's name?
Sarah. So why it's on the list? It's genuinely tense and has scary moments across its amazing story, which I was just talking about. It has engaging, well-written characters and very good performances from the two main actors, one of whom is Troy Baker, who I love. It's got solid gameplay and combat mechanics, as well as a really good UI inside the game, which is really cool. It's got an interesting plethora of enemies. I know it sounds cliche to say, but the game shows that clickers and zombies sometimes aren't as scary as normal humans pushed to their limits.
Oh my god, I hate
I know.
You.
Sorry about that.
The big clicker boys.
Yeah, there's clickers, there's runners, there's the guys that like are huge and like, do they explode a little bit?
Weren't they like
And there's
blind?
like a big guy.
Couldn't they not see because it had grown completely over their heads?
Yeah, because it's a fungal infection, which is actually a real fungal infection that infects mice called the cordyceps.
Nasty.
It's gross. Google image it.
We all gonna get it one day.
And while you're at it, Google image blue waffle.
Don't. Ew. What is wrong with you?
So even though I got better at the game over its course and upgraded everything and crafted shank and strengths and stuff.
I was always good at it, good at watching it.
I was still intimidated by the clickers at the end of the game. Like if one showed up, I was like, okay.
If you played it right now, I would fully expect you to be like, oh shit.
Right.
Oh shit.
Gotta do this right, otherwise I'm gonna get my throat ripped out. It has jaw-dropping visuals and graphics. It was a real lost hurrah of the PS3 because about 6 months, not even 5 months later, the PS4 came out.
I remember when Dan got his PS3. We weren't dating yet, and I pulled up, and he was dancing on his porch because it came in the mail.
Okay.
It was so cute.
Whatever. It was one of the most iconic games of its generation, much like BioShock was. It has the telltale sign of a good game. You can watch someone else play it for hours and be just as entertained as if you were playing it. And for some people, they prefer watching it. They don't like playing it. So why isn't it higher? In a similar vein to BioShock.
Why isn't it higher?
Okay. It takes the focus off the horrific elements to address other matters in the gameplay and story, which isn't bad objectively, but within the confines of this list, it's not as scary as the other two.
Fine. Do I know the other two?
Probably. You definitely know the next one. And I want to apologize.
Okay. What?
Number 2 is Dead Space 2, with an honorable mention to the first Dead Space as well.
Oh, is this one that I cried?
Yeah. Developed by Visceral Games.
Because I cried.
The first one was released October 13th, 2018, so it was almost... it was 10 years ago, just a couple days ago. And then the second one, which is the one I'm talking about now, it was released January 25th, 2011. It is a third-person survival horror game set on a space station that's been taken over by these things called necromorphs. You play as Isaac Clarke, who is the sole survivor of the Ishimura, which is the ship from the first game. No, they don't make an Isaac Clarke pop doll, unfortunately.
Who's the N7 one?
That's Commander Shepard.
From what?
The Normandy.
What? No, like from
and this is
what
my favorite
game?
store on the Citadel. Mass Effect.
Thank you. I'm looking at his pop dolls. Also, guys, side note. I have stated many times I'm good at side scrollers and things where you have to control the camera and yourself and all. It stresses me out, and I have anxiety. And you know what? He made me play it. And I cried.
Okay. Anyway,
scared,
back to the story.
But he was getting very like, no, you just have to, no, come on, as if it should have been so simple. And then I cried, and he felt awful.
I did, and I still do, and I wish you hadn't brought that up.
It was a mistake. It's okay.
Anyway,
he didn't know that I would react like that.
He has to survive and destroy this thing called the marker, which creates necromorphs. It's like this ancient evil, basically. Like, that's basically demonic.
Is it like, do they fuck the dead?
I guess if we're mentioning demons, I kind of have to give an honorable mention to Doom and Doom 3. I don't really think the new game is that much of a horror game.
No more honorable mentions. You always have way too many honorable mentions.
So why this game is on the list? It is probably the scariest game I have ever played in my life.
Why isn't that number one then?
Number one is number one for a reason.
It should be the scariest game you've ever played in your life.
There are other reasons, Jess. It is only the first game is not only scary, but I'll get to it. So the enemies in this game are threatening, scary, and something new in this genre, while simultaneously paying homage to movies like Alien, Event Horizon, and The Thing. So in this game, in most games, when it comes to like zombies or monsters, you shoot them in the head or the chest, and that usually will take care of things. But in this game, it's all about...
Zombies don't get taken care of if you shoot them in the chest.
In video games, in general. In this game, you have to remove their limbs. Like, that's how you that's how you take them down.
Skewers.
Which is good that you have this weapon called the plasma cutter, which is this iconic gun from the game, and you just like slice the things off.
That's what that looks like.
Oh, no, it doesn't. God. The enemies in this one, they really just ramped it up. In the first game, they were pretty simple. In this one, they were just like, we'll just throw fucking everything at you, including the fact that the first game is set in like this mining ship, so it's just a bunch of adults, but this one's set in a community in space. And at one point, you're walking through, and then you kind of realize like, oh, I'm in a nursery, I'm in a school right now, and then you just get attacked by like gross babies that explode and like hordes of children who are turned into these hideous monsters.
It's nasty.
It's not fun in that respect.
I know some kids who are hideous monsters.
Seriously,
ugly, I mean, they are monsters.
There's this one part in the game where you see a lady and she's like in a room, and there's like a glass window between the two of you, and she's like, my baby, I'm looking for, and then like this weird grotesque thing crawls in, she's like, oh, and like she goes to get it, and then it explodes, and just like blood goes all over the window, and it's like, oh my god. So the story builds upon the lore of the first game and characterizes the main character, engineer Isaac Clarke, as a bona fide horror survivor. So while there are jump scares, a lot of the horrifying elements come from atmosphere and story beats, i.e. the mom exploding with her baby. And it throws you straight into the story with very little time to catch your breath. You literally wake up, and then it's like, okay, now you're running from a shit ton of monsters. Go! Otherwise, you're going to die horrifically. It builds upon everything that made the first game great, much like Left 4 Dead 2 did. It added weapon customization, more enemies, a larger setting, a longer story, better graphics, more suits, and horrific death animations, which are beautiful to watch. If you can, just go on YouTube and look up Dead Space 2 deaths. They're very entertaining to watch. And it still holds up very well by today's standards. I actually just rebought it for the PS3 to play it again.
Nice.
But why it isn't higher? Honestly, it was hard not to put Dead Space 2 as my number one horror game, as it truly is so scary and probably the scariest game I've ever played. But, Jess, Dead Space 2 owes a whole lot to my number one choice.
Oh, God.
In fact, most horror games and third-person shooters made after the year 2005 owe a whole lot to this game.
So this is before 2005?
It came out in 2005.
Okay.
Number one.
Hold on. Will I know it at all?
Probably. Hopefully.
Is it?
Oh, the main character is a pop doll on that.
Okay. In
on
here?
My wall, yeah.
In this one?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. I may not know exactly. Oh, it's this guy.
Yeah, what? Do you know his name or what he's from?
Can I get a first letter?
You had it right.
Lance? No, Lou?
No, it's not Luke. Try an E. Lee.
Lee?
No.
Lee? Hold on. Leith. Lean.
It's Leaf. My favorite character, Leaf.
I said Leith. With a TH.
Okay, anyway, number 1 is Resident Evil 4. Developed by Capcom Production Studio 4. It was released January... No. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Have you ever met anybody named Lentil?
No, but I've never met anyone named...
I'll tell you his name in a sec. No. That's not a Lee song.
L-E.
Yeah. Lewis.
Is Lewis. There's 2 ways to spell Lewis.
Yeah, but...
God, you're discriminating against those Lewises.
It's an...
Hold on. I'm really trying. Is it a normal name?
It is...
Is it a normal name? That's all I need to know.
It means lion in English.
The fuck?
It's a very easy name.
Leopard.
It's lion in French and Spanish.
I don't remember.
It's literally one word. The letter that you know, the second letter is the only difference between the English word lion and this name.
Leon. Why didn't you just go... Leon. You know.
Okay. Anyway.
You should have told me Lion King. I would have thought of singing it. Leon. I told you I knew it.
Leon Scott Kennedy is the main character. Resident Evil 4.
Thank you.
So it's an over-the-shoulder survival horror. I like a lot of survival horror games.
Aren't they bringing him back or something?
Yeah. Well, they're doing a remake of Resident Evil 2.
During
E3.
the trailer, you were like, what the shit? And you flipped out. Because you didn't know that it was him. You were just hoping that it was him.
Yeah. He is coming back in the remake of Resident Evil 2, which comes out in January.
Why is his head so much bigger than Sean's?
I don't know.
Wow.
People can't see what we're talking about right now, Jess.
Simon Pegg's
We ain't got the budget for that.
For Shaun of the Dead, his head is just much smaller than this Leon fella's pop doll.
Well, if you play the game, you really know that his name is Leon because the character that you have to escort a lot of the time...
Is he constantly like, Leon?
She is like, Leon! Help me, Leon! Ah! She's the worst.
Wow.
But also the game is really good.
What did you just
That's exactly what she sounds like.
Leon!
Yes.
Did I do it?
Yes. And she's actually voiced by the same voice actress who plays Sandy in SpongeBob. You play as Leon, who's sent to this rural town in middle of bumblefuck Spain to retrieve the president's daughter, who was kidnapped by a cult.
Which president? Like the Spanish president?
Graham? No, the U.S. president. He works for the United States, I think, Secret Service or something like that.
His outfit doesn't look it. He's got fingerless gloves on.
As soon as he gets there, shit just goes off the rails, and there's weird zombie people and monsters, and it's just fucking amazing. So why is number 1? Really, honestly, was it ever going to be anything different for me? I always talk about how much I love this game.
I've never heard you really speak
So I may be biased, but as this was the first M-rated game I ever got to play.
Oh my god.
It starts the scares. There's no boobs.
It's
Resident Evil 2 doesn't really... Resident Evil games don't really do nudity.
That's okay. They don't have to.
So it starts the scares early and keeps them coming. But it does sort of lull in the middle, but then comes full force in the end with these creatures called regenerators, and you're stuck in a basement with them, and they're fucking worse, and they're terrifying, and they make these weird they make these weird
growling
wheezing noises. You can hear them coming. They're
oh, that's not wheezing.
Okay, it's
that's not wheezing at all.
They're just terrifying. And the sound still gives me flashbacks.
You ever heard somebody wheezing from allergies or anything? Because it is not
Anywho,
it's like a fucking gremlin.
It has a twisty turny story with a lot of memorable moments. There's this dog in the beginning, and he's stuck in a bear trap. And you have the option, you can stop and let him out. And if you do let him out, then when you fight this,
befriend you?
What?
Does he make you his friend? And
he comes back when you in the first boss battle against this thing called I think they're El Gigantes. I'm not sure if that's. It's this big troll thing, and halfway through, the dog will come and start distracting it and fight it too.
Nice, good boy.
There's this boat fight. You go on a boat in the middle of this lake, and there's just this huge monster in the lake. It's enormous. It's the size of a huge ship,
it's
basically.
A big boy.
and you're just in this tiny little motorboat, and it like knocks you off, and you're just like the complete fear of like urgency in open water that there's something below you, and you need to start swimming very fast, and it just gets to that kind of very primal fear that we all have.
Do we all?
I mean, yeah, if you're on the ocean and it's like, if you think about it too much and you're like, I'm in the middle of open water and there could be something right below me right now and I wouldn't know.
I don't think about it that often. I think about seaweed.
Yeah, true. There's the opening in the village, which is really famous. There's this like kind of big stand you take in a farmhouse at one point and you're just stuck there just fighting waves of enemies until they all die. I could really just list memorable moments from this game. Okay. Yeah, I've played it so many times.
Move on.
There's a plethora of intimidating, a myriad of intimidating, well-designed enemies. Has a great variety of weapons and an inventory system that truly makes you choose your tools/weapons carefully because you have limited space. The opening in the village is still one of my favorite gaming moments ever. There's this one part where you go into a house and you like block the door, and then you just hear a chainsaw go, and this dude with a chainsaw and a bag over his head just starts like Chainstar just like breaks down the door, and if he gets like within a couple feet of you, you just get decapitated immediately. You can't stop him, and that's very scary when you're a 12-year-old playing this game.
I thought you said
13, 12, however old I was.
What year?
2005? No, I mean, I played it a couple years later, 2007, 2008 probably. Has a great main character in Leon S. Kennedy. Has a high replay. Yeah. Well, Leon Scott Kennedy. F. Scott Fitzgerald, the guy who wrote The Great Gatsby. Has a high replay value with unlockables that enhance your gameplay, and the next time around, like you can get like this mafia guy suit and this Tommy gun, and actually if you do the reload, you don't have to, if you have the suit on and you have the Tommy gun and do the reload, you don't need to reload it because it's infinite ammo. If you do enough times, Leon will throw his hat into the air and then do a big tip on his head when it lands on his head, and it is beautiful. It's actually pretty challenging your first time around. It introduced the mercenaries mode to the gameplay in the game series, and it had a whole second story campaign for free where you played as another character and it filled in the gaps in Leon's story, because sometimes like these weird things happen. You're like, well, why did that happen? In this game, you're playing as the character Ada Wong, who was a fan favorite who came back in this game. You thought that she died after Resident Evil 2, but she's back. There's an amazing variety of boss battles that make you draw on what you've learned in the game, and they're all pretty different from one another in terms of like how you have to survive, how you have to defeat the enemy.
You know, a game has a lot of great boss battles. WarioWare. WarioWare for the DS. Yeah.
It also has some pretty interesting puzzles as well. It practically rewrote the mechanics for third-person games at the time, and so many games have adopted the over-the-shoulder viewpoint since then. It was kind of one of the first to ever do that. And honestly, I could talk about this game forever and the impact that it's had.
I can tell.
Like how the controller scheme and the fact that you can't move while shooting enhances how scary the game is, and you have to pick your placements of shots very well because you can knock over enemies, and there's really good physics in that respect. And God, this is a good game.
Okay.
If you haven't played Resident Evil 4 and you consider yourself a gamer,
oh my God, you're calling out gamers right now.
Gamers rise up. We live in a society.
Okay, time to stop.
I really suggest playing this game. It's basically on everything now. It's been re-released so many times. It's on the PS4. It's on the Xbox One. It's on PC. It's on the Nintendo Wii. If you got one of those lying around.
On the DS?
Twasn't on the DS, but they did release a game called Resident Evil Mercenaries that was on the DS.
I can't play it.
Anyway, that completes my list of the top 10 horror video games I've personally played, and I still consider Resident Evil 2 the best of all time. Don't at me on that. I'm trying to open something on my computer. It's not working. Anyway.
Dan showed me a picture of his young self looking about 2, maybe 3, sitting outside on a deck, completely naked, sitting on a training potty.
And I have a bag of chips in my hand.
Are those chips?
I think it's chips or candy or something.
Those look like the munchie things. You know, the monster
things. It was up as a PDF on my computer, and I just opened it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Next week, I will be discussing.
Yeah, sorry guys, he distracted me with this. Oh, I have a question for the old listeners, whoever's listening. Do you guys think, and let us know, if we did a drinking episode, like where we had to like be drinking, would it be funny?
Did you come up with this?
No.
Without running it by me?
Oh,
how dare you?
I was having I was having a glass of wine while we were doing this.
I mean,
but it's one glass. I'm just wondering.
We were planning at one point.
Were
and
we?
If people, no, not for that. I mean, I guess you could incorporate drinking in it. Having a couple friends over who like musicals and writing a jukebox musical over the course of a podcast.
We were going to do what?
I came up with this idea, and it was we were going to
See, guys, we don't run ideas by each other. Isn't that obvious now? We
were going to put Spotify on random, pick the first 10 songs, and have to construct a story around those and make it into a jukebox musical. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Let us know what you think of those 2 ideas that we apparently have.
This show is now on not only Podbean, but also Spotify, and it's on iTunes.
Hit us up with a review on iTunes.
If you could go to iTunes and drop a high star review, I'm not going to tell you what stars to do because I don't want you to lie. I want you to honestly be honest because I want good feedback. But yeah, if you give me a 5-star review, I might love you forever.
And maybe just write,
and if you
I love these people.
Actually write a review that helps so much more.
And we'll give you a little shout out. Here's the first one. Kaylee Moore,
who's kind of biased because she was.
But okay.
Oh, it says it on iTunes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
She's not biased. She's a random stranger that we don't know who reviewed us. She's never been on this show before.
I'm gonna double check
for an entire episode.
Because
I can do that anyway. But thank you so much for looking. Yes, it does. I already got it.
Okay, so I didn't just oust her because it's already on there. So we want to thank a random person named Kaylee Moore.
Kay Moore.
And if you give us a 5-star...
It's Casey Moore.
Who is that?
The store.
AC Moore.
It's AC Moore. It's Casey Moore, no. No, it's Casey Moore. Thank
you so much for listening. If you drop us a review, we will give you a shout out. Yeah. I know that, that'll be just sick.
But thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at 10for10pod. Be sure to like us on Facebook, where we are 10for10 on there.
There's one more Halloween episode.
There's one more Halloween episode.
Think of what to do.
Yeah, next week's episode, I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite movies to watch for Halloween around this time of year. Like just Halloween-y movies in general.
Top 10 things to just be like thankful for, guys. No.
You should probably go to Harry Potter for the next one.
Thank you. Why?
Crimes of Grindelwald.
No, I'm not ready for that.
Okay. Well, then I'll be doing a Harry Potter one because we only got 2 weeks.
I'm not ready for that.
In November to hop on that Harry Potter train.
Also, letting you guys know now, I didn't talk about this, Dan, just depending on how busy Thanksgiving week is, because people will be coming home, all this stuff, there might possibly be a skip that week.
Could be a skip, or we could just have like a freaking Avengers Infinity War and just have a huge crossover and have a bunch of people.
We don't want to hurt their ear holes. Anyway, but we'll let you know.
If anything, we'll probably have a guest that week.
If anything, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Did I forget anything?
No, but
Facebook,
goodbye.
Twitter.
You didn't say goodbye.
Spotify, iTunes, Podbean. Get on us.
You didn't say
Get
goodbye.
On it. Thank you and goodbye.
There you go.
Have a fantastic week.
Peace out. Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts.
Jess, you have to pad for time.
This podcast is part of the Shrimp Queen Network.
Visit facebook.com/Shrimp Queen Network to see more great podcasts.
Hear them.
Hear more great podcasts.
Good job.
Thanks for listening.